Sucks to be dead. My name is Rick, and these are the Dreadful Minutes. So this video is going to be in lieu of Bandcamp Friday. So I thought I'd share some mostly digital bands that I've enjoyed and that I think other people should know about. When I say mostly digital, I mean that some of the bands or projects, because some of them are one band or one person kind of deal, and they do all the instrumentation. And they may have put out a physical release here and there. The thing is, some of these are very underground, so these releases are being very limited, and some of them are long sold out, and no sign of a reissue in sight. So they are effectively digital only at this point. But being that it's Bandcamp, and I know that a lot of us are physical media collectors, I feel like these projects should get some attention anyway and a fair listen, and you can still enjoy them on the same level. Sure, you can't plop them on your turntable or in your tape player or whatever, but we all have computers. We all have digital players in some form or another, and I think that there's more to expand. Now, if you're a person who listens to only digital media, your universe is even more, vast, should I say. So, of course, Bandcamp Friday means that the artist collects all the money. The spirit of Bandcamp to begin with has been to allow bands a platform to sell and promote their releases without interference from the middleman and all that stuff. Bandcamp kind of covers, all they do is they take a cut from every sale. But again, Bandcamp Friday does not take a cut that day, which is great. Bandcamp, it's become one of my favorite platforms to explore and find new music, and I've discovered so many new bands through them. The algorithm works great, and discovering new music through other buyers who are like-minded, share similar tastes, work the same way. I'm sure you all feel the same. So last year, it seems like it was very successful, and I've actually made a few purchases, and I have shown through my videos things that I have purchased through Bandcamp Friday through 2020. So it's back again, the 2021 edition, and so we had one already on February 5th. So this will be number 2 for March 5th, obviously on Friday. And then we will have 2 more after that. So I don't know if there will be another one at the second half of the year. They haven't announced anything. But the last 2 after March 5th will be on April 2nd and May 7th. So keep an eye out for that. Also, Hypnotic Durge Records out of Canada are running a 20% off sale everything on their Bandcamp page. So if you haven't gotten wind of that yet, that is a good time. So go check out some of those bands now and, take advantage of this offer. That's a really good deal, especially if you're ordering physical stuff, which can, shipping from Canada is not always the best if you live in the U.S. Sorry if you European watchers. I'm not sure how this works. Anywho, I got my eye on that nun beanie hat. And so stay away from that one. That's my claim. I know we're running the end of winter here, and that hat won't have much use, but it's still cool. So let's get on with some of the releases. Oh, one more thing. So Brian Arkham and I had a very brief conversation about tanks on the cover of albums. And a good sign that an album kicks ass is if there's a tank on it. So maybe you guys in the community know of any metal albums with tanks on them that are not so good. But most of the time, I've not been disappointed. Case in point. So I got this band, Lethal, called Annihilation Agenda. This came out in, I want to say 2007, 2008. So this is thrash metal out of Sweden. So this shit rips. check these guys out. And again, if you know of anything with a tank on it, from my experience, it's usually going to be a good sign. I mean, this thing has all kinds of skulls on it. So, those skulls are like bonus cherries. So, all these skulls are like tiny little cherries decorating this tank. So, I'll leave it at that. Let's get on with it. First project I think that you should know about is a fellow named, and it's the only name I'm aware of, called Dominic. This person is very mysterious, and just nothing I could find online about this person. Barely anything. But he does have some pretty fucking awesome projects on Bandcamp. I don't think he's put out anything in a while, and I don't know if he's just stopped completely or what, but those releases are still on the platform for anybody to check out and throw a few bucks. It looks like he's got Name Your Price on most of this stuff. Yeah, it looks like all of his stuff is Name Your Price. But throw a couple bucks his way, he put a lot of work into this. So, this Dominic person, what do they have? What is their projects? So, there's two in particular. And so, the first one is called Old Iron King. And his other project is called Skeletons. Not Skeleton, that's on 20 bucks spin. So, this one's called Skeletons. Plural, people. So, let's start with Old Iron King. So, I got wind of this when I actually first got on Bandcamp. So, this was back in 2014. I think is when I religiously started, using Bandcamp. And this right here was pure orgasm. Why do I say that? Because Old Iron King, having two releases. First one dropped in 2014. So I'll leave the thumbnails up so you can see what it looks like. Called Lepers. And it looks like he changed the covers on these since I first purchased them. And the second one dropped in 2015 called The Curse of the Crown. So what does this consist of? There's a lot of tracks on both of these albums. And this is for fans of Celtic Frost. So if you're a Celtic Frost fan, or that Tom G Warrior school of metal, this is for you. And this is total Celtic Frost worship. Do they sound exactly like them? It's in the spirit of that band, but there's a little bit of doom. It falls into that cathedral a little bit. There's a little bit of death metal in there. Just all kind of cycled together and thrown into this, big pit. And very heavy, very aggro. It's got the, Tom Warrior grunt thing going on. Very familiar. Now, because this is a one-person project, yes, it's got the electronic drums and all that in there. It's done very well. But because of this style of music, it's not super chaotic and fast, if you know Celtic Frost material. So it's very appropriate as far as the pacing goes. It's all very thick, very catchy, and if you've been aching and missing that Celtic Frost, obviously the band's no longer together, and Tom G's with his, Triptychon stuff. I don't know what's going on with that too, but this will scratch that itch. So if you're a super snob about it has to be the pure thing, but some of us we enjoy that aesthetic and that sound. Not every band sounds quite like this, but this person captures it really well. So let's talk about Skeletons. And again, I'll be leaving links for these. So Skeletons, it's another one of his projects. So you're going to be thinking, well, it's one guy. He probably sounds the same, with all this other stuff. Not quite. So Skeletons is another outlet for him. And this is more in the school of, I want to say, acid bath. Yeah, even down to the level where his vocals sounds like Dax Riggs. It's almost it's uncanny how much of that sound and just atmosphere of Acid Bath he was able to capture with this. It's very creative. It almost feels like a continuation, of Acid Bath. It's just a little bit of Danzig and other things thrown in there. So, it's not like it's a total clone, but it's going to feel very familiar. And I feel like this is a very cool thing to check out and very different from some of the other stuff that people put out. And I feel like, and by different, I mean not everybody puts out something quite like this, like he has, and captured it so well. So, Skeletons has 2 albums. That will be Tombs. And this one came out in 2014. So he's been a busy bee in the mid-2010s there. And then the other one is... let me see here, because I got the pages open. Tripping at the Madhouse Gates. And that one came out in early 2015. So check out his projects. I'll leave a link. Fucking awesome. As far as I know, he hasn't put out anything physical. Very mysterious. But still very cool. So, let's continue on with the theme of bands in the spirit of. So, this is a band from Warren, Pennsylvania. My home state. And they are called Morganthus. And they have 3 releases out. And the latest one came out last year in October. And this band, now, when I say this, you're probably going to roll your eyes back and go, well, we know 1,001 bands that sound like Black Sabbath. And yes, Black Sabbath in of themselves have spawned its own genre of clone bands. And that just carry on that, that aesthetic that they've created, especially their early albums. So, Volume 4, Sabotage, and all those other albums, and Paranoid, all have a certain, they capture a certain sound from that era, and other bands have tried to replicate that. So Morganthus are very close in that spirit of how they sounded like during that time. Now, there are a lot of bands who go for the Iommi school of riffing. And these guys do that, but they go even further. They even go towards that Ozzy sort of nasally style of vocalization. You sometimes swear it's Ozzy himself on the vocals. So, the billion-dollar question is, yes, there are many bands that do this, but do they actually do this well? Is it actually good music? Because just because you sound like Sabbath doesn't mean it's automatically good music. And so many of them are just kind of throwaways, to be honest. So, Morganthus, I'm happy to report, are actually a very strong band. And their material is very catchy. It will get stuck in your head. And they know what they're doing. Now, I first got wind of them right from the first album, which is called Dark Knot. And that came out in December 31st of 2017. So, the last year of 2017, the last day of 2017, should I say. And it's got a very pretty cover, which you'll see in the thumbnail. And that's one reason why it caught my eye. It's like, oh, this looks really good. And, hit play and, not been a fan ever since. So I was really eagerly, anticipating what else they would put out. So the next album that they followed up with is Mortal. Mortal came out in 2019 in August. And the first one, Dark Knot, was more, it wasn't as tight. It was more jammy than Mortal was. Mortal was stronger with the songwriting, more focused. So these actually stand out better as individual songs than Dark Knot did, their first release. So this second album, Mortal, it's highly recommended. I recommend all their albums, but this one in particular, now this one has my least favorite cover, but the songs on here I feel like are really strong. So, funny how that works out. So, definitely check it out. Now we're moving on to their latest release, and that is Super Cult, and that came out in October 2nd of 2020. So, this is the only physical release that they've ever put out called Super Cult. So, Super Cult, right here. Being that I was already a fan, it was a day one purchase for me. I haven't even listened to it yet. I already knew I wanted the CD based on the past two albums. So I figured these guys... so this one's more of an EP. It only has 3 tracks. And the CD itself, sorry to say it's sold out. They only made 25 of these. So this is what I mean by mostly digital. I mean, it's effectively digital because even if they put out a physical like this, only the diehards, would have got wind of it. But anyway, let me just show you anyway what they... being that it's only 25 copies, they did not skimp. And boy, did they deliver. So, here's the cover. And this is a concept album. As you can see, there's this sort of... looks like it's a very cultish thing going on here. And kind of creepy. So here's the disc. It's very comic book artwork, done very well. So here is the band. And what's really cool is they actually signed this. I was not expecting that. So very awesome of them. So all these independent underground bands, this is the kind of thing you need to be doing. Also, make more copies of your discs. Please reissue this. So, now, here is the $1 million prize. They went as far as to make a whole comic book. It is done in that sort of old style screen printing. And so, the concept of this is this sort of guy that's getting really big and he's, has these really loyal followers and all sort of brainwashed. And the news is reporting that they're getting worried that this guy could be dangerous. Here's something funny. So here's one guy on the news network talking about how dangerous this leader is getting. And now look at this. Looks a lot like David Icke, doesn't he? I wonder why. So, so people who were close to this religious cult leader have ended up mysteriously dying. And when they questioned him about it, he said he is deeply saddened. I don't know about you, but every time I hear some high-profile person saying they're deeply saddened about something, almost my spider senses go tingling. I don't always believe it, but that's just me. So, continues on. They all get together. There's supposed to be this big televised event, and he's supposed to reveal some big secret. And there's everybody. Some people are getting worried that this guy, there's something weird and doesn't feel right. He makes his big reveal in the end. It's the real me. And he starts playing this music. And people start bleeding from their eyes and all kinds of stuff. Sorry for the blur. And there's, there you go. It's so beautiful, I can finally see. Now, why am I spoiling this? I don't know if you're ever going to get a hands of this CD, a copy of it. I hope they reissue it, but, might as well have a little fun with it. So that's Morganthus, Black Sabbath worship done right. Not like there's a million other clones, So definitely worth checking out. Next. Okay, this one here is for you Doom Prog fanatics. And this is a project called Tomistoma. And this one's very different from everything else I'm going to show because it's not quite metal as far as the aggressive guitar and the traditional instrumentation that you may be used to. So let me read the Bandcamp description here. Reptilian piano-led doom from the darkest heart of Stoke-on-Trent, England. So they're from the UK, and I think it's one person. This is another one I can't find a lot of information about. So there are several releases under the belt. So you got quite a few choices here on Bandcamp to explore. But let me help you break it down real quick. So the very early releases, the first few EPs, I want to say maybe it's the first 3 or 4, are more doom-centric, not prog-centric like the more recent material. Tomistoma stuff is, I would recommend it for if you are a traditional doom metal fan, if you just like generally doom metal, this will be something a little refreshing and different. It's because it's more piano-centered, not guitar-driven, like what you may be adjusted to, like I mentioned before. And there are no vocals. That's the other thing. The early stuff was more just straight instrumental. And this is one of those things where I wished it was on vinyl, because this would be like a day one purchase for me. This is like perfect. It captures that really old era 70s sound, which it gives it a nice creepy vibe. It almost reminds me of what the Italian doom guys do, or bands from South America like Fulano, and again going to Abysmal Grief, and they tend to just capture that old ooh kind of mood, and these guys tend to do it right, or this guy if it's one person. But when you start to move on towards the more recent material, here's where things might take a turn for your tastes. If you are a fan of the more proggy material, it starts to become more psychedelic, more experimental, and they start to add vocals. It's more in lieu of I want to say King Crimson. It almost feels like it's as if Rick Wakeman of Yes decided to let me try this doom thing, and I'm tired of mainstream traditional prog guys, and go a little more underground, and go a little more occult with my stuff, and this might be something that might appeal to you. Which is pretty cool. I actually like everything Tomistoma has put out, and it's very different if you're in that sort of mood. And I think as far as other projects that sound quite like this, again, this is unique. So if you're looking to round out your listening with something alternative, check these guys out. So the latest thing they dropped was a single called Winter Bloom in late 2020. So, again, the sound has evolved since then. So don't discount because you don't like one release that they're all quite like that. They all are very different in their own little way. Again, if you like just the more instrumental stuff and more doomier material, check out the early releases. If you like more of a traditional vocal-based rock, doom, heavy, again, I don't know what to call it. It's so weird. Check out the recent stuff. But either way, great project. Really cool to have a Bandcamp. As far as I know, they have no physical releases of anything that they've put out, and they should. So that is Tomistoma. Okay, now we're moving on to true Italian doom. This band is called Satyrus. I think is how you say it. And they just have one release called Rights. So they are from Palermo. So Palermo, Italy. As you guys already know, I'm bad with geography, so I don't know exactly where that is. So this Rights release has 5 tracks, and was released March 4th of 2020. And I've actually followed up their Facebook page just to see what's cooking over there. And it looks like they signed on to a label, Argonauta Records, which congratulations. And I would think that they would have a physical release due to this, signing up. But at the time that rights came out, they were still an, independent entity. So, what do they sound like? Well, this stuff right here. Now, if I had to sum it up in some way, it's almost like Electric Wizard meets Monolord. Yes, I know. Some of you are salivating. Maybe some of you not. But this has very, very delicious riffing. Very catchy. This stuff, it's just, again, it's just 5 tracks, but you want to keep hitting the repeat button over and over and over. This is some really doomy shit. Like, these guys are not technical or prog in any way. The riffs are very chunky, thick, heavy, all that stuff. And if that's all you're after, this will, it'll scratch that itch just right. And these guys do it. So if there's any of the doom stuff that I talk about that you should check out, definitely this band. Really easy. It's just the one release, 5 tracks, get in, get out. But once you listen to this, you're going to be like me. You're going to go on that rabbit hole, wanting to find out what they're up to, what else is coming out. I'm hoping they put out a physical of this release. But since they're with Argonauta, I mean, maybe they'll have all new material. Too early to tell. But keep my eye on you guys. So this band, or should I say projects, is from Germany, from Hamburg, I believe. And I've been a fan of Morphinist for quite a while now. Since maybe about 2016 or so, I caught wind of this project. So the fella behind this goes by the name of Arguon, I think is how you say it. Does all the instrumentation, vocals, and whatnot. And he started Morphinist back in 2013. He's got a bunch of releases under his belt. And if you're going to get into Morphinist, I would say it's more about following the artist than just checking out the particular albums per se. Because Morphinist, you really don't know what you're going to get, more or less, with release to release. So let me describe what the Bandcamp page says. So Morphinist stands for atmospheric music. Everything is allowed. Everything is possible. So I would describe his music as more of post-black metal with a lot of atmosphere. His stuff is very atmospheric. And he treads the line between doom and or doomy with traditional black metal, some experimentation, where the post stuff comes in, and he's a busy bee because he has he has a bunch of other projects, not just Morphinist. We're just going to focus on his Morphinist stuff because there's more than enough to go around here. So he has put out physical material, which is all in limited numbers, but he would fall under that mostly digital category because not everything that he put out has a physical release to it. Just some, and it's very sporadic. And he only has one release that came out on vinyl, and which I will, demonstrate very shortly. So let me show 2 of the CDs that came out the same year of 2014. So started the project in 2013 and started with, just dropping shit in 2014. So the first one here is the Morphinist, the Pessimist session. So really hard to see, but it's a bunch of trees and you can barely almost make out the wording here. This is probably one of his harshest, right out the gate, work. Blast beats, very raspy guttural vocalization. So here is the inside. So I think that's pretty much just the logo for that project. So I don't know what that is. So I think this came out first as independent, and then Throat's production reissued it as a digipack. So this should not be hard to find. So if you look around enough, you'll find copies of this. So that's a good thing I could say about it, unlike some of the other stuff I've been talking about. This other release right here dropped the same year, and this one's called The Euphoria Sessions. Throws Productions also helped issue this. So it looks like it's just a picture of a beach here. And this is the slipcase. There's a crab or something there. So this is not some DIY thing, you know, obviously there's a barcode there. So let me go ahead and take this out. And that's the CD. Though the back on this one's different. It doesn't have that crab thing. And just, you know, plain disc. There we go. Thank you, Focus. You decided to work. And the booklet is simple. You know, just some lyrics and, you know, whatnot. So, going over this stuff is, where do I begin, right? So, I can describe the general sound. Like I said, post-atmospheric, black. There are elements of, I want to say, the cosmos. There's also philosophy. There's other themes going around here with his work. So I picked this up, and this is his only vinyl. Only 100 copies of these were made, so this is a true gem in my collection. I enjoyed it quite a lot. If you like a little bit of that, got some nice foil stamping there. Really cool. I mean, if you like Mesarthim, and I'm not gonna say they sound like Mesarthim, but they capture that spirit of the cosmos with that a bit of that harsher black metal elements. So here's the actual vinyl, and it came out on this nice orange color. Pull it out here. Really nice. So it looks like it's a comet or something there. Really cool. So he has also put out instrumental albums. One of the ones I do know is called Doomcraft, which parodies Electric Wizard album. Was it Witch Called Today? Which I'll pull up. Pretty funny. So he's got a sense of humor. And I think another one he put out was, I want to say it's called Esoteric. And Esoteric, just by looking at the cover, you can tell it's very doomy, very psychedelic, no vocals, and very different from all his other work. So this is what I meant by you don't really know what you're getting. But I love following all his stuff. I'm definitely a fan. Now, 1,000 Souls Unleashed, I believe this is his latest drop. And that one goes back to that harsh and the blast beats and all that stuff. It almost reminds me of what to say. I mean, there are moments it sounds like Walter Flusser, you know, with the atmospheric stuff. But then there's elements that remind me of Downfall of Gaia. If you're familiar with that band, which is convenient to say because they're also from Germany. So, but if you're gonna explore this band, not everything's broken down to like just nice little neat tracks. He's put out albums where it's just one long track, or two tracks that are like 20 minutes apiece. So he does these long, amazing compositions. He has perfected the drum machine. He's perfected how to put all this stuff together. Again, he's involved in a million things. And I don't know if he uses real drums at all with some of his stuff. It's just done so craftily well that, you know, my ears, I'm not a sound engineer, so I can't pick out all those little nuances. I just know it sounds fucking awesome. So I'm going to put a link for Sunwalker. And that one's one song, or one track. It's 40 minutes long, and it puts you on a ride. And the production on it is excellent. And very easy to get into, and you'll get lost. You actually won't even believe 40 minutes have passed when you listen to this. So, really amazing project. Check it out. Morphinist. I'm really excited about what else he's going to drop next. Okay, last one for today. I think I kept you guys long enough. So this band, it's out of Maryland, called Torvis. Torvus. Very simple. And they play... The releases are very sporadic. But if I were to sum it up, they played that blackened death thrash. And these guys are very competent, and I do enjoy the material. But you got to try carefully of which one of the releases you're going to listen to. So they're not signed to anybody, but they have put out quote unquote physical release, and this is going to be interesting. So I had a false start with these guys. So here is a tape that they dropped back in 2018 called Mitu Diorum. I guess it's Latin. And it looks like it's like Easter Island. And right here you can see there's like this ritual going on. So let me go ahead and take it out so you can actually see what's going on. Here's the actual tape, which is a pro tape, done very well, put out by South Cave Records, based out of Indonesia, and they specialize in that doom, death doom category. I don't know if they're even still around. I tried to go back to their page and it wasn't up. Anywho, that's this nice little card. If you can make out what that is. There we go. It took a minute there. So this is the jacket. Simple. Again, there's the cover. There's the ritual. And there's the tracks. And what's interesting is that inside, you see they're like toppling the statue, and the history of Easter Island's, not very joyous and happy. It's pretty bad. So this is probably the doomiest thing they've ever put out. So I don't think this is the first thing that they put out, but as far as a physical release in 2018, this is where I first discovered them. So as the releases progressed, they moved away from this sound. But this stuff here sounds like really ancient, ritualistic, really cool listen. This actually came with a fold-out poster, a little mini poster of this cover, which I have in storage. I ended up framing it because I like this so much, but I couldn't get to it for this video. But trust me, it came with it. Only 100 of these were made. So if you can find it somewhere and you like doom metal, this is a really cool listen. But again, I don't know if they switched members around or what, but this is the only one that sounds like this, like I said. So moving on, they, so here's their Bandcamp page. They had other singles. There was a live thing they put out. And then we have this. So, called Lanquer. There's a nice little saint there getting skinned. You can probably guess who that is. So, this is not a pro disc. This is very DIY. These guys, and I'll show you, these guys are underground as fuck. And let me explain. So, they put this up for sale. It was like $6. So I'm like, I'll support the band. But I thought I was getting like a proper product. So I put the order in. Didn't think much about it. And it arrived. I get this in the mail. And I opened it up. And it's like this. Here, let me pull out the... it's like printed off a inkjet printer kind of deal. There's their infamous logo. Focus, damn you. So, I looked at the actual disc, and I thought I'm like, am I getting ripped off? What the? It's a CDR. You can actually see the verbatim logo through it. They took like gray acrylic paint and just painted all over this. So, you know what? But it doesn't bother me. This is the spirit of the underground, DIY. It's like, they went to Staples, picked up a 100 pack of this, and threw it together. And as far as the sound, they moved on to that sort of deathy thrash, blackened thrash sound. These guys will appeal to you if you like Aris Kingdom. These guys are not as polished as Aris Kingdom, but the riffs are still tasty. It'll still get your head moving. These guys grew quite a bit, and they're pretty evil as far as the sound goes. But this particular release right here, Linecore, is these songs are long. They're like 9-10 minutes for this kind of material. So it's it's almost like they're just jamming instead of really focused, cohesive songs. It's more like jam sessions. And this is what happens when you don't have a proper producer and expensive studio time. Because if they had a producer, he'd be like, look, guys, like, it's like you need to cut these songs like 3, 4, 5 minutes, you're not Candlemass, and you're not these guys. So they're probably like, so these guys don't care. I'm looking at this and like, even the members' names, like the guy, okay, Joey. Okay, so here he goes by Joey McDonough. Over here he goes by Joey McTorvis. So I guess if you add a Mick to it, it's anything goes. It's like that Irish R&B singer, right? You just add a Mick to something and you're good to go. Anyway, so after this, things start to get really interesting. And here's where I can go to back to that recommendation territory. This is good. This is entertaining, but not quite tight and cohesive. It's very DIY. They released so 2021 is when things start to get good. So they released a split with a band called Gravity Kong. And the thing about that split is that Gravity Kong are very stoner, very, just enveloped in fog and smoke, these guys are very, all about that ganja marijuana, where Torvis are more, I don't know, it's just mixing Adderall and meth, they don't seem to go well together. And this is a very jarring split. I do love the tracks that Torvis did with the split. So I love the Torvis side of it. Now, I'll put the link. You can check out the Gravity Kong Torvis split. Now, if you love that kind of stuff with the stoner, jammy kind of material, you'll love Gravity Kong. But I felt like it didn't really fit. I think it's because they're both Maryland bands. They're like, hey, you have a band, I have a band. We live here. Let's do a split. That's probably what happened. Anywho, so great songs on the Torvis side. I don't go to Gravity Kong very much. And then they released their latest material, which is The Innate Disease. Now that is a fun listen. And that one I'll definitely be leaving a link for. And you should check it out. And I think that's a really good demonstration of what the band is I think should be like going forward if they stay focused. Really good riffing. I think they finally found their they found the ground with this release. So they have a tape, or they had a tape up for sale of this release. And I have a feeling it's another one of those DIY situations because it says handmade, limited to 25 copies. Yes, I know what you're going to ask. I did order it. It's probably going to be duct taped. As a matter of fact, when you click on the Bandcamp page, in the image of the tape, this is probably the actual tape deck they used to make this on. Again, it's all on the ground shit, so, it applies just fine, I guess. Nothing wrong with that. But I feel like these guys, with this Innate Disease release, these guys would fit very well with like something like Hell's Headbangers. I think they just have that aesthetic that fits just for that kind of bands that they sign. I think they got their sound. Again, if you like Ares Kingdom, you like these guys, I think that they could probably, if they stay focused, they can be just as high profile as those guys. But these guys are a new band. They're, again, I think they just need to focus a little more. But the Innate Disease is a fun listen. Check it out. And this Me Too Diorum, really good too. Everything else in between, little hit and miss here and there. Oh man, wake up! I know this was a long video. There's a bunch of other bands, I could have included. If I, can think of other material that I should have included in this video, that I think is awesome enough, I'll put their links also with this video that you should also, take the time. But everything I talked about here, definitely check those out. Now, it doesn't have to be just this Bandcamp Friday for this stuff, support the band. Anyway, I'm sure they'd appreciate a few dollars going their way and help support them. Hell, even some of that money may actually help them put out some physical releases, or more proper physical releases. So thank you for hanging on. And I just want to clear up one more thing. I don't hate Danger. Okay, that album, screw it. It was a fun listen. I think I gave the wrong impression with that. I just looking to get some laughs, pretty cheap laughs, and I know it was at the expense of the band. I'm sorry about that. Some people do it for the nookie. I did it for the lulz. Okay, just want to make sure that was clear. Keep it dreadful. I catch you on the next one.